and welcome back to the Creator Following Podcast. In episode 11, where we will be doing an introduction into the Enneagram. I'm not sure how many personality tests you might have taken in the past, or if you're even a fan of taking personality tests, but what I do want to actually talk about is the fact that the Enneagram isn't necessarily a personality test. What the Enneagram actually does is it allows us to look deeper into our souls, especially as creatives, to find out exactly who we are and to differentiate between who we actually are versus maybe the lies that we have told ourselves growing up, or the lies that people have told us about ourselves as we have developed in our creativity, and also maybe our false perception of ourselves. A common question in life is, what is our purpose, or what the purpose of your life is, or your gifts or talents. And what you will actually ask yourself more in your lifetime is, who am I? Like, who am I really? So the Enneagram is actually a tool and not a personality test. And it helps us to discover who God has created us to be, and the desires that He has actually set forth in our life, in order to become that person that we were always meant to be, and not necessarily what the world feeds us into who we should become. We tend to grow up believing our false self is actually our true self. And there's a series of kinds of questions or lies that we will tell ourselves of who we really are. So the first question, or the first lie, is I am what I have. That can mean like, I am what I have as far as I have a marriage, like I'm a wife, or I have a house, or I have a motorcycle, or a specific type of car, or I have a membership to like a country club, or a membership into an elite group. So I am what I have is essentially like, if I didn't have this stuff, then I would cease to be who I am. And that's just totally a lie. The second lie is I am what I do. And that is the lie that I feel like creatives kind of fall into a lot of the time. Like, I am a tattoo artist, in my case. Until I had to quit tattooing because I developed tendonitis in both of my wrists. And then my whole life came crashing down, and I completely bought into that lie, and it left me devastated and in a desperate position and place where I really had an identity crisis. So I am what I do is, it can also mean like I am, I won't be fulfilled until I become a mother, or I won't be fulfilled until I reach this position at my job. I won't be who I am until I have this leadership position. It can mean several things that you do. It doesn't necessarily always mean your job. And another set of lies that we end up believing is I am who others think or say I am. So this tends to be kind of where we get our initial hurts as far as the Enneagram is concerned. And this is where you will probably place yourself the best. So that could mean like, growing up, I was told that I should be a doctor, or a scientist, or a nurse, or some type of job that seemed more secure. So I am what others think or say I should be, or I how they perceive me to be or who they perceive me to be. It can also mean what other people think of you. So if, say, you have a situation where somebody feels ill towards you, like maybe you had a transaction that didn't really go well, or an exchange of some sort that didn't necessarily end well for one of the parties. So if that person starts to kind of take your name and run it through the mud, so to speak, and try to ruin your reputation, as far as other people are concerned, if they buy into that, then you kind of end up becoming like that person to them, right? And so if you hear about it, or if that person tells you, like, I don't trust you, or I don't really think you're who you say you are, that can be kind of like a false self that is projected onto you. So it's it's kind of a funny place because that is maybe somebody's reality, but it's not actually who you are, right? It's how you're perceived by this person. And then it ends up hurting you or inflicting wound on you. And then you start to believe that you're that person or that you cannot be better than that person when you're really made for something better or something greater than maybe what they're saying about you. The funny thing about these lies or these sets of perspectives or perceptions of you is that they really are lies. They cannot define you, nor can they really show others or show you who you are, because they kind of stifle your potential to becoming who God created you to be. So if you continue believing these lies and you continue to create from that place, you're not actually creating to your full potential. And that is something that we have to fix. Like, we have to make sure that you're healthy, creative. And the sooner that you dig deep down into these lies and really expose them for what they are, and realize that they don't necessarily define who you are, the better you'll be and the healthier you will be in creating, and you'll start to actually create how you were meant to create. The bottom line is these lies will lead you to believe you are what you lack, that you are what you're limited to doing, or you are who people say you are or think you are, when that is far from the truth. So as humans, we buy into 3 programs of happiness, things that make us feel fulfilled, but aren't necessarily the most beneficial for us. Power and control, survival and security, and affection and esteem. This is where we tend to find our happiness. And the problem with happiness is that it isn't lasting. Joy is really what we're seeking. And if we buy into these human programs, so to speak, kind of defaults, we tend to kind of fizzle out, or they're not able to actually sustain our happiness. Because if we're looking for power and control and say we get it, it's only a matter of time until we don't have control, because you can't have control of like everything. And you can only control so much in your own world. And power is a perceptive thing. So if somebody thinks you're a powerful person, then you have power. But the moment that you do something that kind of takes away some of your respect, that power goes with it. And so that's why things like this aren't sustainable. with esteem, right, it's the same thing. If you do something that kind of diminishes your reputation, then your esteem goes with that, because people will not esteem you as highly. And affection, obviously, is also conditional, because if you aren't highly esteemed, then you see yourself as not deserving affection, or people see you as not deserving affection. When really God loves you for who you are no matter what, and you should love yourself no matter what happens to you, or no matter how many times you fall down, you have to get back up. And the same goes for security and survival. These things aren't necessarily something that are in your control. So you can be secure to an extent, but then something comes along and just ruins your guard, or your guard gets let down, then there you go, you're vulnerable. And with survival, I mean, you can only have endurance for so long that you realize that you need something greater and something bigger than you in order to keep going. The Enneagram shows us that there are 9 ways back to God and what He has for us, which is something perfect, and it is a perfect love. And that really, I mean, there's a saying that's as love conquers all, and it's really true. When you believe you are your false self, it is very difficult for you to love that person, right? Because that person is faulty, and that person isn't whole, and that person isn't healthy. But the problem with seeing yourself that way is that that's not how God sees us at all. God made us perfect, and when He sees us, He sees His creation and the potential that you have. So He cannot believe your false self is your true self, because He sees you as true as you really are. It's the false self that we put on ourselves, and that we kind of wear as a veil, or as glasses that have cloudy vision or blurred vision, so that we cannot see our true self, when really that's how God sees us. And when we pull from that kind of love and that pureness, then we are able to actually open up and let go of those things, and let those things kind of shed away. When you reveal your true self, you are allowing your true character to come out. And that's why creating from that place where you are your true self is so remarkable and magical, so to speak, and perfect. That is when you are healthy and there is nothing holding you back. You're able to create with no boundaries and total freedom. Learning the Enneagram will not only guide us to our true self, but it will allow us to create more authentically. So I'm hoping with this series that we can learn how to kind of take off that false self mask and start to create from a place of true authenticity, so that you can grow into that and actually use your creativity to its full potential. I've been doing this for about 2.5 years now, going on 3, and I have never been able to actually set myself free in creating until after I actually took a good look at who I am through the Enneagram. And so as we go on, I will talk about more in detail the different types. So there are 9 different types in the Enneagram, and I will talk about those in more detail so that you can kind of assess where you think you are, who you think you are, depending on past wounds that you've had, or who you might actually be right now, creating from like a place of false self. It actually is very eye-opening. I've taken a lot of different types of personality tests, and I have to say, they got it right for the most part, but with the Enneagram, it's not my personality that is being kind of revealed to me. It is actually who I am, and that is my character. And I think that is why it's just so like revelational to do the Enneagram and to kind of dive deep into maybe who you really are. It has helped me tremendously in my creative life. And so I wanted to share it with you because I want you to unlock your full creative potential and to grow and to find your true calling. Thank you for listening to this episode, an introduction into the Enneagram. And join us next time for a deep dive into the different types of the Enneagram, and hopefully you will discover who you really are. All right, until next time, see you guys later.